Antoine, a young Frenchman, was drawn to the East by a lifelong fascination with mystery. Though the world was modernizing, he believed the East remained enigmatic, a place where one's existence could hold multiple identities at once. Officially, he was there to oversee his wealthy father's business, but in truth, he sought answers to his own restless curiosity. Nights often found Antoine driving through the city's oldest quarters, especially after drinking. The weathered buildings and the shadows of dusk heightened his sense of being on the edge of something ancient and unknown. Today, he wandered the narrow lanes of Limehouse, his car barely crawling forward. Lost in thought, he was startled by a sudden slam as someone shut the rear door of his car. He snapped on the interior light, hands shaking. "Turn it off! For God's sake, turn it off!" A woman's trembling voice pierced the silence. He switched off the light. Darkness returned. "Save me," the woman pleaded from the back seat. Her accent was Eastern, but she spoke English. Antoine's mind raced. "Oh, okay," he replied, forcing calm, and accelerated away. Only after they'd driven a good distance did he question his own actions. Who was she? What kind of trouble had he picked up? "How can I help you?" His voice was husky. "Take me somewhere safe. I'm in danger." "The police station?" Antoine asked. "Number, please." "No," she said, her fear unmistakable. "Why not?" "If you're in danger..." "You don't understand. It's about my honor, too." "I don't understand at all, but fine. I'll take you wherever you want." Antoine could hear her whisper. "What should I do?" Her voice was strangely compelling, haunted by something old and hidden. "Don't you have a home?" "I do, but going there tonight would be like stepping into a trap." "You're speaking in riddles. Please help me. I trust you because you're a foreigner." "What is this about?" "You wouldn't believe me." "Then tell me what to do," he said, frustrated. "Take me to your home, if there are no dogs. I'm terrified of them." Antoine hesitated, then nodded. "There are dogs, but they're harmless." He steered the car towards his bungalow. "But what's the danger?" he asked. "I need time to explain. If I start now, you'll either laugh or throw me out of your car." He didn't reply. The silence was tense, but her presence filled his thoughts. He wished for light, to see her clearly, but he didn't dare. When they arrived, he pulled up to the porch, not the garage. The woman stepped into the lamplight, young, distinctly Eastern, wearing traditional attire, a small leather suitcase in hand. She looked at him, her gaze steady. "Please, sit," Antoine managed, motioning to the sofa inside. She complied, setting her suitcase down. Antoine waited, but she said nothing. Finally, he broke the silence. "What do you want me to do now?" She blinked, startled back to reality. "I've caused you trouble." "No, not at all," he replied quickly. "Would you like something to drink?" "No, thank you." Her tone was quiet. Again, silence. Antoine grew uneasy. "I'll help you however I can." She hesitated, then spoke. "I don't know how to begin." "At least say something," Antoine snapped, the tension fraying his nerves. She pulled her suitcase onto the sofa, then looked at him. "I have another request. I want you to keep something safe for me." She opened the suitcase and produced a small ebony box covered in jewels. "This belonged to a queen of my country. Please keep it safe for a few days." "Why?" "I'm alone. Some people are after it. They tried to steal it tonight, but I managed to escape." "How did you get it?" "You think I stole it?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "No, I didn't mean that," Antoine said quickly. "My appearance doesn't suit its owner." She smiled faintly. "That's not what I meant." She took a breath. "I belong to an old royal family. This box is my inheritance. I am the last in the line." Antoine felt as if he was living out one of his own dreams. "Forget any thought of theft," she added. "I'm sorry. I'll keep it safe, princess." "Thank you. But be warned. They may try to harm you to get it." "They'll fail," Antoine replied, confidence returning. "No one can get past my security." "Are you sure?" She looked at him closely. I've decided. I'll help. You live alone? Yes. When will you take it back? When it's safe. Fine. Do whatever you need. I want nothing but your promise to keep it safe. I promise. Will you visit me? That depends. How will you get home safely? Are they still out there? They can't hurt me now. Why not? I was afraid because I had the box. They may still find you. My heart is strong. Why not tell the police? They'd seize it for a museum. That's true, Antoine admitted. I can't risk the authorities. Silence is best. You're right, Princess. I'll keep it safe. Thank you. May I ask your name? My name is Diana. Don't ask my address. You can't imagine what I'm going through. I'll come when I can. I understand. Will you stay for dinner? No, thank you. She stood. Will you walk me to the gate? Antoine wished she would stay longer, but said nothing. He accompanied her outside, watched her disappear into the night, and then returned inside. He drank more whiskey, placed the jewel box by his bed, and drifted back into dreams of mystery. Chapter 2. Damien Shaw sat in his office, a file open before him. The idea of Damien in an office was almost ironic, given his aversion to bureaucracy. Yet, since the arrest of El Fantasma and the case of the Bloody Mansion, anonymity was impossible. Damien's uncle, Douglas Shaw, Director General of the National Crime Agency, had never quite understood his nephew's abilities, considering him odd and unfit for serious police work. But the Home Secretary himself had intervened, insisting Damien join the agency. Damien agreed, but only on his own terms. He would work independently, answerable only to the Director General, select his own team, and investigate cases in his own unique manner. His section would never exceed 10 people. Once established, Damien handpicked his team. 4 men so far, all dismissed by others as incompetent and unremarkable. Thin, awkward, and overlooked, they had become Damien's chosen. His uncle was baffled and frustrated, but he could do nothing. Damien's authority came from the top, and the department was left to watch with suspicion or scorn as Damien built his unit his way. Today, Damien studied a revived file, an unsolved case from 10 years ago. Lord Henry Ashford, a prominent figure, was found murdered in his bedroom. His face was obliterated by a close-range shotgun blast, making identification possible only by his clothing. The weapon was found nearby. The circumstances suggested both murder and suicide. Now, a decade later, Lord Henry Ashford had returned alive. He claimed to have disappeared voluntarily, traveling across the southern continents, unaware of the body found in his own room. Damien closed the file and set it aside, his thoughts focused. As he unwrapped a piece of chewing gum, an orderly entered. "Sir, Deputy Director Ryan sends his regards." "Same to him," Damien replied, reclining in his chair. The orderly hesitated, confused, then left. The message was received by Ryan's assistant and moments later relayed to Ryan with amusement. Irritated, Ryan sent the orderly back with a clearer command. Shortly after, Damien entered Ryan Blake's office. Ryan gestured for him to sit. "In the office, there are protocols," Ryan began. "I don't see it that way," Damien replied, his voice cold. "I report to the Director General, not to you." Ryan exhaled, softening. He remembered the role Damien had played in his own rapid promotion, something only he and Damien truly understood. "Look, Damien, you're making odd choices for your section." "My section operates by my rules," Damien said simply. "Enough. Let's discuss the Ashford case. Have you reviewed the file?" "I have," Damien said. "But the initial ruling of murder doesn't fully add up. The evidence could point to suicide. The gun was fired at close range, the face destroyed. Identification inconclusive except by clothing. The gun was right there." Ryan nodded. "But Ashford has returned. He says he left home secretly, traveled for years, and knows nothing about the body found in his room. So he left the house that same night, meaning the body discovered must have been someone else in his clothes." "Correct." Damien paused, processing the possibilities. "What does Ashford say about the body?" He blames his family for misidentification. Why vanish without a word? Ryan replied. Love. He left, heartbroken. Damien's expression didn't change. That doesn't matter now. If he truly left that night, someone else died in his room, wearing his clothes. The real question is, who and why? Ryan grew frustrated at Damien's calm detachment. Just get to work. Damien left without another word, returning to his office as the phone rang. Damien Shaw, he answered. Antoine? What is it? Fine, I'm on my way. He grabbed his coat and turned to see one of his chosen subordinates, thin, pale, unremarkable. Report, Damien said. Sir, I have some information. Lord Ashford hasn't left the mansion. Today, a red car came by twice. Someone spent half an hour in the compound, making noise. At 11, a sweeper woman entered, dark mole on her left cheek, short, sharp-eyed. Damien nodded, satisfied. You're improving. Next time, get the car's license number. You're back on duty there at 4. Outside, Damien collected his black tourister and left for Antoine's bungalow. Antoine, one of his closest friends, was already drinking when Damien arrived. He greeted Damien in his usual way, eager to blend in with local customs, but Damien's attention was already elsewhere. The investigation had just begun. Chapter 3. Antoine began recounting his story. Damien listened with focused attention. She left the jewel casket with me, Antoine explained, and that very night, unknown men tried to break into my bungalow. Were you awake? Damien asked, his tone flat. I stayed up the entire night. I saw them, fired a few shots, and they ran off. But from the next day, strangers started arriving, faces I'd never seen before. One wanted a job, another asked about French customs, another tried to befriend me. In just a few days, 10 or 15 strangers visited. Before this, no one ever came here. Then in the evening, a particularly strange man arrived. He had a thick beard and wore dark glasses. He claimed to be the true owner of my bungalow. I told him I had rented this place through an agency, but he said he didn't trust them and wanted to look around himself. Under the circumstances, I refused. What happened then? Damien's voice was controlled, offering no comfort. No one could fool me, Antoine continued. I sent him away, but the girl returned about 10 days ago. She seemed desperate, worried for her safety, and unable to keep the casket any longer. I suggested she sell it to someone trustworthy for her own protection and financial security. She hesitated, but finally accepted. I offered her $25,000. She insisted it was too much, but I gave her the money anyway. Since then, I've been on edge every night, armed, guarding the casket. Where is it now? Damien asked. I'll show you. Antoine's expression changed, darkening. He abruptly left the room. Damien waited. Suddenly, a commotion came from the other room. A servant ran in, panicked. Sir, please help Mr. Antoine. Damien rushed in. Antoine, out of control, was banging his head against the black box. 2 servants tried to restrain him. Get away! Get away! Antoine screamed, his hands bloodied from striking the box. Damien quickly took the box, and the servants forced Antoine onto a sofa. Damien examined the jeweled casket closely. This is it! Antoine shouted. This is the one! Damien's voice was sharp. Control yourself, or I'll force you to calm down. I haven't slept a single night since I bought it, Antoine yelled back. You don't understand. Get some rest. We'll discuss this later, Damien replied, unmoved. What? You won't help me either. Talk sense. Antoine pressed his hand to his forehead. After I bought it, no one else has shown any interest. Not a single person has tried to take it. I see, Damien replied. You understand what's happening now? Yes. If I keep chasing mysteries like this, I'll lose everything. You're headed for trouble, Damien said, his tone cold. Do you know the girl's address? She lives in Limehouse. Limehouse is a large area, Damien said. Do you have her full address? Number. That's all I know. What do I do now? Should I write off the money? I can't believe she's a fraud. She seemed ancient, like she belonged to another era. Damien ignored the remark. "What's the value of these jewels?" "They're fakes. The whole casket is worth maybe 150. Damien looked at him for a long moment. "Did you ever try to find her again?" Number 9 didn't have the courage. There was a long silence. "Why did you even call me?" Damien finally asked. "I want you to prove she's not a fraud. You're with the government. I'll believe you." Damien nodded once. "Fine, I'll look into it. But you could have told me all this over the phone." "I couldn't risk it," Antoine replied. "I don't want anyone thinking she's a thief." Damien stood up. "I'm leaving. Don't waste my time with this again." Antoine held tightly to the casket. "I'll protect it until the end, even if I have to fight her enemies myself." Damien shook his head. "You're hopeless," he said, leaving the room. Antoine's desperate shouts echoed behind him. Chapter 4. Damien's car halted outside Lord Henry Ashford's old mansion. The estate combined classic architecture with a modern garden and imposing walls. As Damien entered, a large dog blocked his path, silent, unmoving. Before he could act, a stern voice called the animal away. A rugged, middle-aged man appeared from the shadows, wary and tense. Damien identified himself as a press reporter wanting to meet Lord Henry. The man was initially dismissive, but eventually led Damien inside after realizing he wouldn't be brushed off easily. Inside, Damien met Lord Henry, a man worn by years of struggle and loss. Lord Henry claimed to be the true owner of the estate, but his return from the dead had only brought him humiliation. His nephew, Edward, now possessed the property and refused to recognize him, saying the court had already accepted Lord Henry's death. Damien listened, methodically questioning Lord Henry about his disappearance and the infamous murder that had left the body unidentifiable 10 years earlier. Lord Henry, frustrated and evasive, offered little. The interview was interrupted by Edward himself, a sharp, younger man. An argument broke out about Lord Henry's identity. Damien revealed his true role as a special investigator for the National Crime Agency, not a reporter. He made it clear he was after the truth, not rumors. Edward, realizing Damien's real authority, requested to speak privately. They left the mansion and entered a nearby restaurant. Over tea, Damien interrogated Edward about the murder, the inheritance, and family secrets. Edward insisted he believed the death was a suicide, describing the scene: the gun, the powder burns, the proximity of the weapon. The motive, he said, was likely a romantic disappointment. Damien pressed further about Lord Henry's possible relationships, especially with a mysterious woman in Limehouse. Edward reluctantly admitted he'd heard rumors and that there was a woman in Limehouse who might have been connected to Lord Henry. Strangely, Edward also mentioned a young woman there who closely resembled his uncle, speculating she could be Lord Henry's illegitimate daughter, though he admitted it was only a guess based on looks and rumors. Damien asked for her address. Edward gave it: a yellow house near an unfinished minaret in Limehouse, the same location Damien had heard from Antoine. This coincidence caught Damien's attention. Finishing his tea, Damien prepared to leave. Edward, troubled, pressed for what would happen next, but Damien only handed him his card and left. Instead of returning to his car, Damien stopped at a pharmacy, purchasing a bottle of collar mixture and a syringe, plus some ampules. The pharmacist recognized Damien and made no objections to his unusual request. As Damien left, his mind was focused. Multiple threads: Lord Henry's true identity, the mysterious woman in Limehouse, the jewel casket, were beginning to converge. Chapter 5. Damien drove through the ruins of Limehouse and soon found the small yellow house near the unfinished minaret. Parking at a distance, he knocked at the door. A young woman answered, her face marked by recent tears and fear. "I'm a doctor," Damien said quietly. "Here to give the monthly injection." "Are you a municipal doctor?" she asked, suspicious. "Yes," Damien replied, watching her closely and noting her resemblance to Lord Henry. "I want my relative to get the injection too," she said. "I'll take care of everyone here this week." "Please, if you can do it today. He's old and unwell. Just tell me where he is." "I'll bring him," the girl said. vanishing into a side alley. Damien waited, then knocked again. No answer. 5 minutes passed. He realized she might be evading him. Just then, heavy footsteps approached. 3 policemen, one a sergeant, the others constables, arrived with the girl. She pointed Damien out, her voice trembling. "Ask him where he's come from." The sergeant demanded, "Where are you a doctor at?" "Doctor?" Damien replied, feigning surprise. "Who says I'm a doctor?" The girl accused him of lying. The sergeant ordered Damien to come with them. Out of sight from the others, Damien showed his NCA credentials. The sergeant's demeanor changed instantly. He saluted, apologizing and explaining, "This girl says someone stole $25,000 from her and that she's being followed." "Who lives with her?" Damien pressed. "No one. Her father died a month ago." "Did you check where the money came from?" "She seems respectable, sir." Damien dismissed the officers, then faced the girl alone. "Is your name Diana? Did you sell a jewel casket to Walter Antoine?" "Yes." "Was it truly yours?" "My mother left it to me. Some people tried to steal it, so I sold it." "For 25,000? "Yes. But the money was stolen. I suspect the same people." "They succeeded this time," Damien said flatly. "You're in trouble, Diana. The casket you sold is worthless." "That can't be," she whispered, shaken. Damien pressed further. Who had helped her? Diana insisted she acted alone, but eventually revealed her father's friend had advised her to trust a foreigner with the casket. This man had pointed out Antoine as a suitable helper. Diana described how she followed his instructions and entered Antoine's car, repeating the story she'd been told to tell. "So you don't know if you belong to a royal family?" "I only know what I was told. My father never said anything. He was a scholar, but after vanishing for 4 years and returning, he stopped working." Damien listened, piecing together her background. Diana invited Damien inside. The house was lined with books. Before she could continue, a knock interrupted them. Diana went to answer. Voices in the hallway revealed Antoine had arrived, agitated and worried for her. Damien faced Antoine. "Sit down," Damien ordered. Antoine was nervous, but Damien silenced him. Suddenly, a smell of smoke filled the air. Thick smoke poured from another room. "Fire!" Diana cried. She ran ahead, with Damien and Antoine following. Inside, a pile of clothes and papers was ablaze, clearly set on purpose. Diana, standing in shock by the fire, suddenly collapsed and fainted. Chapter 6. Damien paced the room while Ryan Blake watched him, tense and frustrated. "Ryan, this case is a maze," Damien began. "Whether Lord Henry died by murder or suicide, neither version makes sense. Why shoot him in the face? A shot to the chest or forehead would have been far more effective. The file states only his face was damaged, no other wounds. The body was found lying on the bed. But what evidence is there that the blood on the bed belonged to the victim?" Ryan dismissed Damien's questioning, urging him to stick to facts. Damien pressed on. "I think the murder didn't happen there. I suspect he was killed elsewhere, maybe strangled. Then his face was destroyed with a close-range shot to disguise the real cause of death. The killer placed the body on the bed, soaked it with blood, and left." Ryan argued back. "He was shot while sleeping. That's why there was no struggle." "If that's true, then why weren't there any pellets or powder burns in the bed? Why is the report so incomplete? The post-mortem says sudden heart failure, yet everyone blames the shot. You're ignoring critical evidence, Ryan. Was there ever a chemical analysis of the blood?" "No, everyone just assumed it was his blood. The simplest explanation was accepted." "That's not real investigation," Damien said coldly. "This file is full of gaps. I believe the answer lies elsewhere." Ryan grew impatient. "You want the case? Fine, it's yours. By the way, what happened to the girl after she fainted in the fire?" Damien replied. "She was hospitalized." "I'm on my way there now. There are still too many unanswered questions." Chapter 7. Antoine waited at St. Thomas's Hospital, restless after a night spent beside Diana's bed. Diana had tried to assure him she believed the jewels were genuine when she sold him the casket, but Antoine only told her not to worry about the money. "Mr. Antoine, I'm fine now," Diana said quietly. Antoine, deeply sincere, replied, "Princess, your recovery is all that matters. Forget the past." "Please stop calling me princess. I only said that because I was told to. If the jewels were fake, I'll sell my father's library and return your money. My father once refused a large sum for just one manuscript." "You are a princess to me," Antoine said firmly. Diana looked at him, surprised by his conviction. There was a knock at the door. Damien entered, his face unreadable. "Are you feeling better?" Damien asked. "Yes," Diana replied. "But please don't upset her," Antoine warned. Damien nodded and questioned Diana about her father's mysterious friend. "He had a thick beard and always wore dark glasses," she described. Damien continued, "Where were you when your father died?" "I was away, getting medicine for him from Dr. Martin Middleton in Harbin. My father's friend handled the burial. When I returned, my father was already buried." Damien pressed, "Did any neighbors witness the burial?" "No, only my father's friend and a few others handled everything." Damien then asked about her father's life. Diana described his disappearance when she was 10, his mysterious return 4 years later, and his solitary life after. Their only income came from his work before his disappearance, and no one visited him for years, except the bearded friend who advised her about the casket. Damien took out his diary. "The friend's name and address?" "Dr. Martin Middleton, 167 Greenfield Road, Harbin. My father sent me there when he was sick with jaundice. I stayed for 4 days. My father told me not to return until I had the medicine." "Is Dr. Martin still at that address?" "Yes, he should be." Damien then asked for a photograph of her father. Diana replied that everything was lost in the fire and she might not have a single photo left. "You're safest here, Diana," Damien said. "Don't leave until I say so. I've arranged everything." "Why are you keeping her here?" Antoine objected. "It's for her safety," Damien replied firmly. Antoine refused to leave, but Damien was unyielding. "You're not helping, Antoine. You need to leave." As tension rose in the room, Damien's investigation pressed forward, every answer raising new doubts. As the night deepened and Damien's investigation pressed forward, every answer seemed only to open new mysteries. But in this tangled web, one thing was certain: nothing and no one was as they seemed. Who was the mysterious friend with the thick beard and dark glasses, and what role did he truly play in Diana's life? What really happened to Diana's father, and why did his burial take place in such secrecy? Was the jewel casket nothing but a clever fraud, or the key to something far more dangerous? And as shadows gathered around Lord Henry's mansion, what hidden secrets would finally come to light? The real answers and the darkest truths were still waiting in the shadows. Subscribe to Obscura Chronicles, and don't forget to like and share this episode if you enjoyed the mystery.